Welcome back to another Shut Up, No One Cares, Get Back to Work podcast. I'm your host, Colin Stuckert, the Wild CEO, and I'm here to talk to you today about big ideas that are going to stand the test of time, evergreen first principles that you can build your life around. I'm obsessed with being the best version I can, and I want to help you do the same. In this short daily show, 6 to 10 minutes, give or take, we talk about one big idea. We go into the daily 6 with a few tips and recommendations that you can use in different categories for life. And then I let you go to get back to your day, and hopefully you're better off for it. Today's big idea relates to goals and the idea of monkey see, monkey do. I got to kind of calm myself for this one because I can go on and on. Bear with me as I try to collect my thoughts. I will be doing a lot of editing on this one, I think, because I will be pausing. Most people grow up with certain conditioning. We are all conditioned by our upbringing. We have our parents that may or may not have strong expectations for what we should do with our lives. We might have grandparents, uncles, aunts, peer groups, just really too much to even talk about. But we grow up with a set of beliefs and ideals. And these are integral to who we become as adults and the choices we make in our early years that shapes the life we live as an adult. And I'm sure you can already sense where I'm going with this. Most people, and I'm using that phrase a lot, let me just say a lot of people, not most people, but a lot of people end up with lives of quiet desperation, as Emerson said. I think it was Emerson said that. Most men live lives of quiet desperation, and they aren't happy or content. They cheat. They have midlife crises. They are impatient, irrational, and it affects their kids, their family life, their work. There is a million byproducts of not identifying who you are in the life you want to live. And what most people do is they follow some routine that's been designed for them, either by accident or because their parents built it on purpose or whatever. And then they wake up and they're 35, 45, or even 50, and they're like, I literally hate my life and I'm not doing this anymore, or how do I get out, or whatever. And a lot of times it's too late. They're either stuck, they're committed, they have bills to pay, they have family to support, and they hate what they're doing. They hate how they're spending their time. Some people might gloss over this and think, oh, this doesn't apply to me or whatever, but, it applies to all of us. We have to be very cognizant of the choices we make. And the fact that we make choices when we're like teenagers about what college to go to or what degrees to pursue, whatever, it's literally a joke. The entire college system is a freaking joke. It just is. You're not going to know if you should be a doctor or a lawyer when you're freaking 16. I mean, literally 15, 16 years old, they start having you plan for extracurriculars so you can get into medical school or become a lawyer or get into this good college or whatever. It's like you have no damn idea what you want out of life. You don't have the mental faculty to even figure it out. It's a multi-billion dollar, I think even now student loan debt is like over $1 trillion. It is a big sham. It is a old system built for when companies needed factory workers and they had to have certain skills. And that is literally why the educational school system was created. And now we have the college system. And I'm not going to go into that today, but I want to talk about monkey see, monkey do. If you set goals for your life, if you follow a life plan based on other people's opinions, based on what other people think you should do or what other people are doing, you're going to be disappointed and you might even blow up your life. It's even more insidious today because we have social media and you have successful entrepreneurs that like have cars and they basically rent jets and do all these things to make it look like they live like this glamorous lifestyle. And in some cases, maybe they do. Maybe they do have a bunch of money. They got lucky on the internet or whatever, and they're spending a lot of money. But this is a completely and utterly preposterous, ridiculous, unattainable, and not something anybody should be following for any kind of life advice or life path. It is just wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong they can't do it. It's social media. People can do whatever they want, right? And if people are going to follow them, then again, that's the monkey see, monkey do part. That's on the person. But the content and the perception and the really bad ideas around people thinking that's what they should pursue, or if you're a successful entrepreneur, that's what you're supposed to do, or whatever, is completely and utterly bullshit. It's complete and utter BS. And it really screws with people's mind and it really screws with people's lives because they set bad goals, they pursue the wrong things, they have no idea who they are, what they actually want, and what they actually value, and they will invest 5, 10, 20, 30 years before they freaking realize it. And that is a damn shame. That is a damn shame. So I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anybody. I think the world would be a better place if we had more people saying, this is who I am, this is what I value, this is what I want. I'm going to pursue my work. I'm going to pursue my business, my employer, whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to pursue it based on those principles I have for myself rather than somebody else's principles. And most people don't have their own set of principles. They've never even thought about that. Most people have never asked themselves the question, who am I? What do I want? And like really tried to answer it. I think it's like the only thing that matters, because it's one of those things that if you get wrong, your entire life it could be wrong. It's a foundational piece. Who the hell's talking about it? Who's promoting it? What school do you go to for this? Where are they teaching it? It's like I feel like I bring these topics up, and in some cases it will fall on deaf ears because some people just aren't receptive to it. It's like too new to them, or maybe it's a little scary, so they just won't venture down that path. Some people are already a little open to it. Maybe they've already done it, and so they're going to kind of nod their head to the things I'm saying right now. And it's like, I want to reach more of the former, though, because we have way fewer of the latter. We have way few people that are self-aware, that know who they are, what they want, and that are pursuing a life based on that. We have the majority, yes, the overwhelming majority. I would even say probably like 98% of people on the planet have not a damn clue who they are, what they want. And that is why we get led into all of the BS that our species gets led into. Politics, really bad policies, us versus them, black versus white, racism, tribalism, political tribalism. Like, there is so much nonsense that is a byproduct of our species and who we are, but is something that we can also now today, with information, with understanding the things we know about psychology and human beings and biology, we can learn these things, we can work on fixing them, and it all starts with the individual. Coming back to who you are, what you want, and spending enough time there and not relying on what you see other people doing or what your parents have drilled into your head growing up about how you have to be a lawyer or you have to go into the family business or whatever. You get one life. In fact, I saw a really cool poster recently that I want to try to find it and buy it, but it was a picture of one of those carnival tickets. You know how you get like a raffle ticket? That's what it is. So you get a raffle ticket and it's got like the numbers on it or whatever. It said something to the effect like one life, or life, one entry, or like one punch card. It was basically like a single entry punch card for life. And you get one of those tickets, and you get to exchange that ticket to basically the Grim Reaper, and you get a certain amount of time until he knocks at your door, and then you do with that time, hopefully, something that you want to do, that is fulfilling, that's meaningful to yourself first, and then, of course, the world after that. So actually, just talking about this right now is like validating my idea to do this show. This show is a daily podcast, and it's a YouTube video. It's a daily freaking show. Audio, I got to do that. I got to export that. I got to put that in iTunes. I got to do the video. I got to do the blog post. I got to do all the content I write added to it. It's a lot of stuff. And I mean, obviously I'm taking on this project during quarantine, and like life is much kind of more simple now, right? Like less options. So it is easier to take on projects, but it's a lot of freaking work, and it's not something that's going to like really make money. I mean, it can make money eventually, I guess, but it's more of something that I just want to do. I believe in it. I want to help more people live better lives and just be better people, right? Because I think it's going to be a better world. And there's so much nonsense that we fall victim to. There's so many blind spots. There's so much bias. There's so much really bad, just absurdity at the hands of humans. Most people are literally plugged into the matrix and have not a damn clue about any of it. So monkey see, monkey do. At least until you've established who you are and what you want, then you can find those monkeys that you want to follow, because they're doing the things that you've already established align with your values. Right? Then monkey see, monkey do could be useful, but you should still be self-aware because it can still lead you astray. Right? You still have to have your own original thoughts and ideas. You want to be a unique person, and you should learn from people all around you, and you should follow the people at times when it makes sense. But don't just give over yourself completely to someone else and follow blindly what other people are doing. A lot of times you don't know exactly what's going on. You don't know what's going on below the surface. They could put on a facade of success and happiness and amazingness and then really be miserable underneath. So like, it's very, very dangerous to go by monkey see, monkey do. A better strategy is to understand who you are, to be self-aware, to go inward as much as possible, learn from the people around you, but also blaze your own path. So that's a big idea for today. Let's get to the daily 6. And we're at 10 minutes. I know it was going to take me longer than I hoped, but let's get back to the day. Let's get right into it. Daily quote: the one who follows a crowd will usually get no further than the crowd. The one who walks alone is likely to find themselves in places no one has ever been before. Albert Einstein. Daily tip or recommendation: create a daily thinking routine. So I do this every morning when I'm writing and I have my coffee and everything, and I leave the house, I go to a coffee shop, and now I'm basically sitting on a bench outside the coffee shop because I can't go inside. And every day when an idea comes up, I write it down. I'm not really journaling like that. For me, I'd rather write. Journaling, I mean, it's good for some people, but just I let ideas come. I stare off into the distance. I sip my cold brew. I maybe read some quotes, read some articles, and then anything that comes up, I write it down. And I just can't fathom not having a thinking routine, especially if you're doing anything or trying to do anything, and especially if you're trying to really understand who you are and what you want out of life. It's integral. Daily book recommendation, Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I've never been a sci-fi person per se, or maybe I just haven't really read that many sci-fi books, but the only thing I'm going to say about this book series, which I think is about 6 books in now, is we named our son after the main character. The first book took a while to get into because he has a very unique style, but oh man, it is worth it. I would just stick to it. Like, get through the first half of the book, of the first book in the first series. It's just so good. It's kind of one of those books that can actually change your life because it can change your perspective. It can make you think differently. It's a unique writing style. I don't know. It just really opens up things. It's really hard to quantify it, but it's amazing. Allison and I both have read every single one of the books. And then a couple of our friends that have read it say they love it as well. Daily health tip. Take a quality fish oil. So omega-3s are one of the most heavily researched supplements on the market. There's even an actual pharmaceutical fish oil, which is basically just a fish oil that's been approved by the FDA to be a pharmaceutical, which in some ways is kind of a scam if you ask me. And you don't need that. Like, you could literally just get, probably for a fraction of the cost, an actual whole body fish oil. And so what I take, and of course I'm biased because I'm the founder of the company, but I take our wild fish oil pretty much every single day. And that's a whole body fish oil from Menhaden. It's processed in the U.S. It's made in the U.S. One of the only fish oils on the planet that's the case. Most of them are actually caught overseas in other countries. There's substandard processing practices. It's been shipped. It has to ship across the friggin' Atlantic or Pacific or whatever. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with fish oil being rancid. So having a very tight supply chain, keeping it as local as possible, and actually controlling the manufacturing process is very important. And then also testing for rancidity as well as omega content and et cetera. Like, you really want to get the best quality, whole food, real food fish oil you can find. If you want to support the show, you can go over to Wild Foods and use code WILDCEO for 12% off. I take it daily. Allison does as well. We also give it to our son. He'll just literally take the spoonful and just down it. It's amazing, and I couldn't recommend it more. So, daily cooking tip. Learn the basics of using a skillet. It's very simple. It goes like this. Take a cast iron skillet, put it on a burner, let it preheat on about medium heat for a few minutes so that it's getting nice and hot. Add some oil and or ghee. Add your dried ingredient. Even if that's veggies, it's veggies. If it's steak, if it's chicken, whatever, dry it down because that's how you get the sear. Place your ingredient in the pan so it has full surface area. Let it go for a couple minutes until you have some color. Flip it. Let it go for some couple minutes until you have some color. Repeat the process, flipping and maybe butter basting, doing some other things until it's cooked through. If it's a thick ingredient, put it in the oven at like 250, 350, 300, whatever, and then let it keep cooking till it's done to your preferred doneness. Then take it out, taste it, season a little bit if you need to. And of course, I should say you should have been seasoning kind of before, pre-seasoning the ingredient before it goes in the pan, and then seasoning it a couple times throughout the cooking process. That's how you build really deep flavor. And then you take it out and you taste it, adjust seasoning if needed, maybe add some lemon or some acid or something like that for a seasoning agent in addition to salt, maybe pepper, whatever you want, and then you eat it. And that is the basic way that I've learned how to cook, and that has been the cornerstone of my cooking routine for years. And then from there expand, but getting to do that one technique, that one pan searing, pan frying, like oven finishing technique, you can cook pretty much everything that way, because what you can do is if you have large ingredients, you can cut them down and then you cook them in a pan. Now, of course, if you have something like a roast, that's usually something you want to put in like a slow cooker or a crock pot, but you still want to sear it most of the time to get a lot of that flavor. That's how you start a lot of roasts, is you sear it in a hot pan, all sides, so you have a nice caramelized crust. Then you finish it in the slow cooker to let it cook over, 8, 10, 12, whatever hours it needs to cook so that it's done. This single thing could be the cornerstone, and it is for me the foundation of your cooking routine. Daily thoughts about money. Buy assets that produce income. We moved out here to the country. Our guest bedroom, we turned into an Airbnb. It's over the garage. It's kind of detached, so it's like a perfect setup. There's no better feeling than getting money deposited into your account from something that you own that you really didn't have to do much for. Like if you buy some stocks, when those dividends come in, and I'm only getting, a couple $1,000s a year. I don't have a ton of stocks, but I do have some that are some of the best dividend paying stocks on the planet. And, there's Apple, 3M, some other companies, Disney. Getting that money deposited into your account for nothing. You don't do anything. You just get it. It's just one of the most gratifying feelings. Like it's probably the most gratifying way I've ever made money in my life. Making it your goal to get a few $100,000 in assets, or for me, like my goal is to have $1 million in stocks and have $10,000 in passive income. So like everything I do is getting towards that goal, but it is such an amazing feeling, and it is attainable for everyone. If you save and you spend correctly and you invest over the long run, everybody can be a millionaire. Like that's the thing. If you're an able-bodied human, And it might take you longer than it does others. And if you live below your means and you live frugally and you do the right things, you can become a millionaire in your lifetime. Everybody can. I truly believe that. So focus on assets, not buying liabilities like cars and boats and things like that. And even a house can be a liability for people. Like I would rent for as long as you can because taking on a house is very expensive and there's always things you have to pay for. It's literally a bottomless pit for the most part. Like obviously we're using Airbnb to try to supplement that and pay for as much as possible, but it definitely doesn't cover the mortgage. So that's going to be it for today's show. Like, subscribe, and it being a daily show, I'm going to see you in the next one.